welcome to class today. So this video is pretty much a drills video, so I would strongly recommend you doing some sort of a warm-up before this. So I'm already warm, so definitely go and do that if you haven't already. So this class is going to be working on some of the drills that I kind of personally find helpful in my working towards handstand, headstand, forearm stand, and back bends. So just know that by no stretch of the imagination am I an expert at any of those poses. I'm still in it with you, working towards a handstand and forearm balance, and my back bends could definitely do with some improvement. So it's always a work in progress, but these are just some of the things that from a kind of putting my physio hat on, from like a biomechanical point of view, these are some of the things that are going to be really helpful to help you to get into those poses more safely. So it's a lot of shoulder work. It's less about the core than what people think. Everybody thinks you need to be really strong through here. It's a lot more about shoulder strength and stability. So we're going to be focusing on that a lot today. Have yourself a step or a block or books or whatever. This is all that I've got with me. So grab that and we'll get started. Maybe a strap as well. A strap can be helpful. So we're actually going to start with your block or your step today. And you're going to bring your upper arms, so just above your elbows, onto the block or step. Ideally it'd be a little bit shorter than this, but that's okay, we do with what we've got. And then you're going to bring your hands to prayer and then start to sink the chest down. So you might need to wiggle yourself out a little bit to figure out where your ideal length is, and it's very personal for everybody. It depends on your flexibility. But you're just going to start to take a few breaths here, opening up the shoulders, and then bring the awareness to your middle and lower body. So automatically you're going to want to just dump into the lower back. See if you can bring the awareness to the space between the ribs, the lower ribs and the hips, and just gently draw them together. So you should feel the lower back start to lengthen as if the tailbone is going towards the back of the room. And then I want you to maintain this without clenching. So it's a gentle drawing in. And then slowly see if you can sink the chest a little bit lower. And then start to draw the thumbs to the back of the shoulder blades as you exhale. And then inhale, straight up overhead. Exhale, bend at the elbows, draw the thumbs to the shoulder blades. Inhale, shark fin. Exhale. Inhale. We're going for about 7 more of these. So take it at your own pace. And try and keep that awareness throughout the body. Should feel that you're able to sink a little bit lower in through the shoulders, but also that you're getting those shoulder muscles working as you move the arms. I'll take about 3 more here. You all know that I'm rubbish at counting. And then bring it all the way up. Beautiful. Take your prop off to the side for the moment and then come onto all fours. So your elbows are going to stay straight in this position. You want your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And again, take a couple of movements in through the spine and find that neutral spine. So you don't want to just sag and you don't want to tuck the tail. You want to be in a long neutral spine. And it's never going to be perfect because we're inherently crap at knowing where our body is in space, but that's fine. Go to what you feel is your neutral position. Then from here, as you inhale, you're going to keep the elbows straight. Think of pressing the floor away. So feel the shoulder blades protract on the rib cage as if they're wrapping around. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly sink into the shoulder blades. Now the key here is to go slowly, because you can easily just dump and you see my head comes forward and the shoulders come forward. You want to keep that gentle tucking in of the chin and the length through the neck as you exhale and slowly retract the shoulder blades. And again, I know we're going slowly through this, but this is really important. See what your rib cage does. If when you drop into the shoulders or lower into the shoulders, if you automatically arch your tailbone and drop your rib cage, you're compensating. You're trying to get further than what your body can do. So keep that rib to hip alignment as you slowly start to just retract the shoulders. So just sink into the shoulder blade. It's a lot less movement than what you think. Inhale, press it away. Exhale, slowly lower into it. Inhale, press it away. Exhale, slowly lower it. And it might feel really weird to start with. It is an odd movement, but this is working a muscle called your serratus anterior, and it helps to keep your shoulder blades stable on the rib cage. So if you ever see, the best ones to think of is like models, and you can see they've got like those chicken wing kind of shoulder blades. Their serratus anterior isn't working properly. It's weak and it's not doing its job. You want the shoulder blades to sit flat on the rib cage so that they can control your shoulder movement smoothly and avoid getting pain. Take a few more here. And then come back. Grab your prop again. And this time you're going to have the forearms on the prop. And you're going to be back almost in a plank position, but a little bit shorter. And then get that position with your torso. And from here, you're just going to be moving the shoulders. So keep that rib to hip connection long through the neck. And you're just going to shift yourself forward so that your shoulders come over your elbows. And then you're going to shift yourself back. So nothing here is changing except for the shoulder girdle. So you're not just waving through your hips are staying still. So if you lift off your knees are kind of acting just like a little pivot sort of point. I want you to feel the muscles, the lats down in through here, helping to control you to get back and forward. And this is going to come in handy when we do this upside down. And try not to just dump into the shoulders, more of a reminder to myself than necessarily to anybody else. I'm going to do 2 more here. Beautiful. And then take your prop away. And then we're going to come and lie onto the back. So we're going to do exactly what we just did on the hands and the knees, except now we're going to be lying on the back. So you've got 2 options. I would recommend starting with the feet flat on the floor so you don't have to worry about that. And then take the hands up towards the ceiling. So the biceps are spinning forward. Don't worry too much about what the hands are doing. They can turn from the elbows, but you want your biceps facing towards your head. And then from here, you're going to reach the fingertips tall towards the ceiling. So it's as if you're pushing away the floor. And then as you exhale, keep the elbows straight as slow as you can. Lower the shoulders back into their socket. So I've got a really dodgy right shoulder. Reach forward. So if you're watching closely, you'll see as I come down, it's kind of shaky and it loses control and gets really clunky at one point. So that's what we're trying to essentially work on. We're trying to smooth out that movement so that instead of getting that clunky hitting of the shoulder blade against the floor, you get a smooth gliding. And then try not to recruit the upper traps, the muscles up around the tops of the shoulders and the neck. And take about 3 more here. So this doesn't feel like much, but they're quite small muscles. They're very, very important. And if you're not used to it, they will fatigue really, really quickly. So you imagine now you're trying to recruit all these muscles when you're upside down. You've got the whole weight of your body. If they're not working properly, that's where you're going to end up hurting yourself. Take 1 more here. And then slowly lower it down. And then lower the arms down. Flip yourself over. So we're going to do it without the step this time. So bring your elbows shoulder distance apart. Set your hands down on the floor. And I would say start in a modified elbow plank. So with your knees down on the floor. And then just like you did before, you're going to think of, you want to start a little bit further back. Start thinking of drawing yourself forward and then drawing yourself back. So like you're a seesaw. And then once you've got the movement in the shoulders, bring the awareness to the center. So it's quite hard to control the center when you've got this backwards and forwards movement going on. And again, it's smaller than what you think it is. It's not going to be anywhere near as big as you want it to be. And then if that's going well, then you can prop up onto toes. So it's a bit easier to get the forward backwards movement here. But again, I want you to feel the movement coming from the shoulders and not from anywhere else. Take 3 more here. And then slowly lower the hips down and we'll come into Sphinx pose. Elbows directly underneath the shoulders, ground down strongly through the hands, and then inhale, draw the chest through the gateway of the arms. And again here, you're trying not to slump into the shoulders. You want to think of the shoulder heads drawing away from the front of the mat. And don't throw the head back. It's that gentle retraction of the chin, lengthening of the spine and the neck, strong through the legs. And then exhale, slowly release. And we'll make our way over to the wall. So if you have trouble keeping your arms from displaying out, I would strongly recommend having a strap, taking it just above the elbows, a little bit wider than shoulder distance apart. It just stops the elbows from splaying out and the arms splaying out. And it's a very useful feedback tool. So if that's something that you have and want, then feel free to grab that now. Otherwise, you're going to make this way over to the wall and you're going to start in a downward facing dog position. So your heels are at the wall. I'm on a cupboard, so it's going to be a little bit noisy. I apologize. So normal length downward facing dog. And then you're going to take 1 foot up to sit bone height, knee bent, and then the other foot up to sit bone height. And then we're just going to hold here to start with. So again, see if you can get that gentle drawing in of the ribs to the hips, and sometimes it helps to take a couple of kind of cat-cow movements in this position. And then like we did on the floor, you're going to think of pressing the floor away and then gently dropping into the shoulders. So it's not going to be as big a drop. Take it really slow. We're only going to do 3 more here. Relax the face. And then slowly walk the feet down. Take child's pose. And then come back to the wall. So this time take yourself a little bit closer to the wall. So we're going to do a more of a handstand specific sort of drill here. So we're going to do a hold. So you're going to walk yourself as far up the wall as you can, and then walk your hands as close into the wall as you can. Try and get the tops of the feet to the wall, and then if you can, get the chest and the nose and maybe the base of the wrists to the wall. And we're going to hold here for about 10 breaths. So keep pushing the floor away with the hands, gently drawing the ribs and the hips together. So it's not a clench, it's a gentle lengthening of the lower back. Very, very strong through the legs. Even grounding through the palms. This is about 6 breaths. And then slowly start to look forward with control. Slide the shins down the wall as you walk forward. 1 foot down, 2 foot down. Take a child's pose. And know that you can always hold longer, shorter, whatever kind of works for you. Beautiful. All right, so now we're going to do a headstand drill. So this is by no means an exhaustive list of all the drills that you can do. I'm just trying to get a little bit of everything that you can kind of work through here. So have yourself quite close to the wall, kind of as close as you can get yourself, and then go opposite hand to opposite elbow. Make your little cup with your hands, pinkies come down, and then rest the crown of the head into onto the floor. And then if when you come up, you're way, like if you come into this little rabbit pose and you're still really far away from the wall, try and get yourself in a little bit closer. And then you're going to prop up onto the toes, and then you're going to start to walk the feet up the wall. So ideally, you want to be able to get yourself into an L shape. So sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around with the distance between your yourself and the wall, and you might have to come down and lengthen or shorten. And if you're still working on headstand, you might stay here, or strongly pressing through the left foot, raise the right leg so that it comes in line with the hip. So if you go too far backwards, you'll feel the back bend. If you don't come far enough over the hip, you'll feel like you want to come towards the wall. And then maybe stay there, or come onto the toe of the left foot, press the right quad back towards the wall, and that should help you to feel that left foot get lighter, and maybe it hovers off the wall. And then maybe you stay there, or maybe you can mindfully float the left foot up to meet the right. then wherever you are, both feet come back to the wall. Slowly walk yourself down and take a child's pose. And if you really want to up the ante, try talking in this position. It's really hard. Set yourself up again, opposite hand to opposite elbow, and we're going to take the opposite side. Oh, I just realised that the carpet has probably made my hair look absolutely wonderful. So take the crown of the head to the floor again. Make sure it's the crown of the head, not the front of your scalp or the back of your head. Draw the elbows in, strong grounding through the forearms. Come up onto the toes, and then take the feet to sit bones height and strongly press the feet into the floor in that L shape, into the wall. Gentle drawing in of the waist, and then maybe the left leg comes to float directly over the hip. And take a try sending it a little bit too far forward towards the back of the room, and you'll feel the back bend. So feel the strength it takes in your center and your hip flexor to draw that back over the hip, and then press strongly through the right leg, maybe float the toes. And as you do that, your left leg's going to want to kick back towards your head. Try and gently draw it towards the wall, and that should help you to feel the right toes get lighter, and maybe they float. And maybe you bring both legs up over the hips. Wherever you are, slowly float both feet back to the wall and start to walk them down. And take a child's pose. And then come back up. Ooh. All right, so now we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to do it for pincher, so forearm stand. And then we're going to do it for handstand. So for pincher, I'm actually going to use my strap. So if you've got a strap, take your strap and place it around the the lower upper arm, so just above the elbows. Make sure that the buckle, wherever it is not going to hit into your face, because that's going to be super, super uncomfortable. So it's not easy going into pincher from this direction. It's much easier to kick up at the wall, but again, that encourages that overextension and it makes it kind of hard to break up with the wall. So this is something that I'm still working on, so fun times doing this on camera. So bring yourself down again. Forearms should be, elbows are underneath the shoulders. So opposite hand to opposite elbow. Have your strap if you've got it. And then you're going to ground down strongly through the arms. Come up onto the toes. So you're in a very short down dog. And then start to take one foot to hips distance, other foot to hips distance. And then start to straighten the knees. And so I've taken myself way too close to the wall. So I need to walk myself out a little bit. And then try again. There we go, that's a little bit better. So it's a little bit hard with the strap because it kind of gets in the way of your nose a little bit. So you just have to press into it. And it's all about a game of distance. So you might be a little bit too far forward. You might be a little bit too far back. And that's fine. You just play around, readjust, come out, come in. And again, you can play around with trying to get the right leg over its hip. Maybe come onto the left toes. And it's going to be really tempting just to kick from here, but press that right leg back towards the mat, the wall, and you should feel the left leg get lighter. And then bring it back in. Whew. Take a rest. And then set yourself up for the second one. So come into that shortened downward dog at the wall. And then walk the feet up to hips distance, sit bone distance. And then start to straighten the legs. I'm trying to get those shoulders directly over the elbows. Maybe the left leg floats. Maybe you press onto the toes. Whew. Maybe you hold it a little bit longer. Maybe you're knackered and you come down. I'll give you a few more breaths to play around. Otherwise, join me in child's pose. Alright, so you can repeat exactly the same thing for handstand, but now that you've got the gist, I'll let you practice that on your own. We're going to practice something slightly different in handstand. So it's going to be similar to the plank saws that we did, except now we're going to be in a handstand. So you're going to come into your downward dog position. So full length downward dog with the heels at the wall. And then you're going to start to walk the feet up the wall and bring them up as high as you can. So you're essentially in a plank on the wall. And then look towards the hands. As you exhale, start to shift the weight forward so that the shoulders come over the wrists. And then inhale, bring it back. And then exhale, take it forward, coming onto the toes. Keep the rib to hip connection. Inhale. 3 more like this. Feel the strength and the work that it takes in through the shoulder girdle, and try and relax the space between the ears and the shoulders, and the space between the ears. Inversions can be quite scary naturally. I think we've got one more here. And then slowly come back to your plank. Take it through the L if you can. And then slowly walk it down to the floor. And then take a child's pose. So feel free to stay in child's pose as long as you need to. Feel free to play around with all of those as long as you want to. Like I said, it's definitely not an exhaustive list, but it's a few things that you can definitely work on to help to strengthen up the shoulder girdle. And I'm really hoping to do more of these videos. So yeah, let me know what you think, and namaste.